This is Advanced Math, Unit 11, Lesson 6. Hyperbola equations. Write an equation, and you will have some of these on the test. Number 1, the vertices are 0, plus or minus 3, and the foci is 0, plus or minus 6. Okay, you are going to sketch this out to get some help. And when we sketch, let's see what happens. 0, 3, 0, negative 3, and 0, plus or minus 6 for the foci. Okay, so we can tell just from this that our center is 0. And I can tell that because from either the foci or from the vertices, I count my way inward, and the center is at the origin, 0, 0. Okay, I can also tell that it is opening up and down from where the foci and vertices lie. Now, another thing you can tell, on the test, it's not going to say this is a hyperbola, find the equation. It's not. It's just going to say write the equation for the following conic, and it's going to give you this information. Now, ellipses have vertices and foci, and hyperbolas have vertices and foci. Circles do not, parabolas do not have 2 vertices and 2 foci. So, how do we know if this is a hyperbola or an ellipse? Once you plot it, remember, for a hyperbola, they're always inside the cup, the foci. If it had been an ellipse, the stars would have been inside the vertices, outside or inside. All right, so we know the center is 0, 0. We know because it's opening up and down, we know that y comes first. So I'm going to have y squared over blank minus x squared over blank equals 1. I'm going to erase this b squared and a squared in just a bit. I'm just going to at least set it up for now. Okay, because it's 0, 0, it's just y squared and x squared. Because it's up and down, the y comes first. Now, remember, this has nothing to do with the major axis. This here moves up and down. 1, 2, 3, and up and down is the b, so b is 3. So if b is 3, then I can change this b squared to 9. All right, how can I find the a when they didn't give me anything about it moving right and left? I'm going to use my c value. And remember, c is from the center to the foci, not the vertex. Kids will count this and say that's c. No, it's from the center to either foci, whether you go to the top one or the bottom one. That is your c value, and c is 6. And you can count that out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now we're going to use our formula. C squared equals a squared plus b squared. Now we're dealing with the plus. When this is a minus, the formula is a plus. So 6 squared equals a squared plus 3 squared. 36 take away 9 equals a squared. 36 take away 9 is 27 equals a squared. As tempting as it is to square root, you do not have to. You can. A equals a square root of 27, but a squared is what they want here, and a squared is 27. Okay, number 2. Vertices are plus or minus 1, 0. The equation for the asymptotes is y equals plus or minus 5x. Now, you can think of this as either y equals mx plus b or point slope form. It's up to you. Either way, can you see that the point is 0, 0? Or if you think of it this way, the y-intercept is 0 and the slope is 5 over 1 or negative 5 over 1. Okay. Or you can think of it this way, y minus 0 equals plus or minus 5x minus 0, because that's the way we write it, and your center is 0, 0. And you're going to see that in just a little bit anyway when we sketch it. Okay, so vertices are positive 1, negative 1, and what else am I going to do? Let me put some lines going up this way. Okay, now what's happening here is I have my vertices at 1, 0, negative 1, 0, which means, indeed, like we said earlier, the center is 0, 0, the origin. The center is at the origin, 0, 0. Now, if these are my vertices, vertices don't go in the direction of the major axis, they go in the direction of where your hyperbola is opening. So see how these two were the vertices, up and down, top going up and down, so your hyperbola is opening up and down. These two vertices are going right and left, so your hyperbola is looking something like this. Again, that's nothing to do with the major axis. Okay, so since it's opening sideways, that must mean x comes first, and since the center is 0, 0, x squared, y squared, 1, and I'll erase the a squared and the b squared in just a little bit. Okay, right and left is the a, and you can see I go right 1, left 1, so this length right here is a equals 1. Now why is this one a and this one b? Because a runs right and left with the x, and the y runs, or sorry, the b runs up and down with like the y. Okay, so a is 1, so I can erase this. 1 squared is 1. X squared over 1. Okay, now we need to find how far from the center up and down, like what's that rectangular box look like? We're going to use this. Whether you think of it as the point slope form or slope intercept form, you can see the slope is 5, plus or minus 5 over 1. Can you see that? Either form you look at, the slope is 5 over 1. Okay, so from the center, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. And that over 1 should make sense because that's how far over I went right here, right 1, left 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1, over 1. And I'm going right and left because it's plus or minus. Okay, so what does this mean? From the center, remember that the right and left and up and down are your A and B values. So from the center, I went right 1, left 1. I got that from given information. And then I went up 5, down 5, and I got that from the slope, which means that this value right here, which is your B, because it's going up and down, is 5. B is 5. And why is B 5? Because it's going up and down, and A goes right and left, which means 5 squared is 25. I did not need to use my focal length formula on this one. I was given enough information to find A and find B, and I didn't even have the foci to even find the focal length and use this formula. All right, so it was not needed for this problem. Number 3, your vertices are negative 2, 1, and 2, 1. So negative 2, positive 1, and positive 2, positive 1. And your foci, negative 3, 1, and 3, 1. Okay, so it looks like because I'm given the foci, I might have to use my focal length formula again. Let's see if that is true. So I'm going to go right 2, up 1, and left 2, up 1. Okay. Those are my vertices, and the foci are right and left 3, up 1 for the foci. Okay, so we can tell the hyperbola is going to be opening right and left. Even without the foci, we can tell that because your hyperbola always opens in the direction of your whatever your vertices are running. If your vertices are running right and left, then your hyperbola is opening right and left. Okay, so where the stars are tells us that it's in a hyperbola, not an ellipse. Okay. Let's see if we can find the center. From here, you can count your way in. And again, it'll be easier with graph paper. Or you can use the midpoint formula. -2 plus 2 divided by 2, 1 plus 1 divided by 2 is 0, 1. And that point there is indeed 0, 1. Okay, so your center is 0, 1. All right, because it's opening right and left, that means x comes first. So I'm going to have x minus 0 squared, just x squared, over a squared. I'll erase the a squared in a little bit. Minus, and then b minus 1, and I don't know why I put the b, y minus 1, quantity squared, over b squared equals 1. Please don't forget the 1. I often have kids forget it, and it is wrong if you do forget. Okay, so I can't use the slope and know how far up and right I went because it wasn't given to us, but I can use the foci and use the focal length. Okay, so let's first figure out right and left movement is A, so from my center to either vertex, that length there is 2. Can you see that? A equals 2. So if A is 2, A squared is 4. And then I'm going to use that to find B. So I know B is up and down. I don't know how far up and down I'm going from the center, but I know that A is 2, and I know C is the length from the center to the star. Everything's from the center. Kids will count this right here as the focal length, and it's not. It's from the center to the star. So C is 1, 2, 3. And it doesn't matter whether you count to the right or the left. Length is always positive. C is 3. Okay, so C squared equals A squared plus B squared. 3 squared equals 2 squared plus B squared. 9 equals 4 plus B squared. Subtract. 5 equals B squared. You can square root, but it's not necessary because B squared is what you are looking for, and it is 5. All right. Number 4, the vertices are 1, 2, and 1, -2, and it passes through 0, √5. Now this one's a little different. They didn't give us the equation of the asymptotes, nor did they give us the foci, so how are we going to do this one? Let's check. Okay, 1, 2, and 1, -2. So plot your vertices. Now, they did not give us any foci, but that's okay. Because just by knowing the vertices are going up and down, I know my hyperbola is opening up and down. I don't need the foci to tell me that. On this particular problem on a test, they will have to tell you that it's a hyperbola because there's not enough information to know that. So we know on this particular lesson it's a hyperbola because that's what the lesson is titled. Okay, so we know it's opening up and down because that's the direction the vertices are running. I could use this to find the center, count n, or midpoint formula, add and cut in half. In the end, you're going to get center is 1, 0. If you count your way in, you find it, or you do 1 plus 1 divide by 2, 2 plus -2 divide by 2. Okay, because it's opening up and down, I know y is coming first, y minus, y minus 0, quantity squared, and there's no, I'm just going to write as y squared, with the y is the b squared, minus, and then x minus 1, quantity squared, over a squared equals 1. Be careful, it's flipped around, so 1, 0. People will put the 1 there and the 0 there. Make sure the x stays with the x and the y stays with the y. Okay, I have enough information right now to find either A or B from the center to either vertex is your A or B value. Up and down is like the y-axis, so that's the B value. And you can see from this that B equals 2, which means B squared is 4. Okay, there's nothing here that I can find C. There's no way for me to find C because I was not given the foci. So I can't use the C to help me find A. I wasn't given the slope, so I can't do rise over run to help either. I'm going to use this point, just like you would use on any other problem. This is X, this is Y. You plug it in. Plug this in for X, plug this in for Y, and do the work. I'm going to have you guys finish this one and we'll check it together in class. Again, X is 0, Y is root 5 squared. You do all the work, and that's it for this lesson.